You expect me to take this seriously? You really expect me to take the aspirations of President Stevie seriously? If we were talking about Stevie being the president of the worldwide leader in woke, I might consider it. But president of the United States? Really? When I kept seeing this absolute absurdity over the past few weeks, I chose to ignore it. I didn't want to waste my time, and I damn sure didn't want to waste yours. I figured this was Stephen A. Smith doing what he does best. I figured this was Stephen A. Smith doing what WNBA dump divers aspire to do, but when the dump divers try it, it always ends in empty arenas and huge embarrassing failure. I figured these so-called presidential aspirations were nothing but Stephen A. Smith bringing attention to himself. I assumed it was nothing but a publicity stunt. I mean, President Stevie? Really? But when I saw him on the Sunday morning talk shows yesterday morning, I realized that whether or not I'm taking this seriously, that doesn't matter, because it is abundantly clear that Stephen A. Smith is seriously considering running for president. Now, I'll be honest with you. President Stevie sounds a hell of a lot better than the other option that I heard about earlier this morning. One of my channel members told me that deacons at Woke United Methodist, they are pushing for President Bernie and Vice President AOC LGBT VP, better known to friends and family as AOC++. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Stephen A. Smith sounds a lot better than a presidential candidate that's aging faster than an endangered species, and a vice presidential candidate whose career goal is to make the alphabet more inclusive by adding more symbols. My inside sources are telling me that the next symbol to be added to the alphabet is the parentheses. It will be given to those who claim one gender but also have a secondary gender in parentheses. Hi, my name is Greg. I'm a G with a parenthetical @ sign, and I prefer plus pronouns. Yesterday morning, Stephen A. Smith appeared on ABC's Sunday morning show This Week, where he was interviewed by Jon Karl. Karl was asking Stevie a bunch of questions that he was nowhere near qualified to answer. He was asking about tariffs, the economy. Perhaps he asked about inflation or how to convert oxygen into carbon dioxide. He was peppering Stevie with questions that Stevie was not capable of answering. But finally, Karl Jon asked Stephen A. Smith a question that he could answer. He asked Stephen A. if he was running for president in 2028. While his answer was interesting, Karl Jon did not ask the follow-up question that I wanted the answer to. What is ESPN going to do if or when Stephen A. Smith runs for president? More specifically, who will replace him at the worldwide leader in woke? Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. Are you struggling with back problems? Do you deal with minor aches and pains throughout your day, and you don't want to go to the doctor because all the doctor's going to do is find something else wrong with you, or even worse, prescribe addictive medication that you just don't want to take? Me personally, I hate going to the doctor. So does my wife, who actually deals with back pain, which is why she started using CBD lotions and oils from Sugar Mountain Trading. Now, this is not THC. It's not going to make you fail a drug test. These CBD lotions and oils, they are designed for rapid pain relief. Like I said, my wife deals with nagging back pain from time to time. We've tried over-the-counter stuff. We have tried the chiropractor. Nothing ever seems to work. Within 5 minutes of me applying CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading, her pain was gone. I'm telling you, it's damn near magical. Sugar Mountain Trading also offers CBD bar soap that will keep you pain-free and smelling fresh at the same time. Bar soap comes in a variety of scents ranging from lavender all the way to cherry almond. All CBD products offered at Sugar Mountain Trading, 100% natural, 100% free of THC. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL20, BTL20. Save 20% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. Friday night, Bill Maher had Steve Bannon on his HBO show, and he asked him what Democratic candidate he was most concerned about in 2028. Me personally, I would have said Josh Shapiro. I know Gabby Newsom is desperate to be taken seriously. I know Gabby is busting his ass trying to be viewed as a serious contender. But Gabby Newsom has far too much baggage. He has damn near destroyed the People's Republic of California. Josh Shapiro, he is a legitimate contender. He's a good speaker. He's charismatic. Obviously, he's intelligent. Unlike Captain Doofus Tim Walz, Josh Shapiro was smart enough to turn down cackling Cam Harris when she was begging him to be vice president. Tim Walz, he wasn't even smart enough to realize that he was her second choice. Hell, he was her only choice. According to Steve Bannon, though, Stephen A. Smith is the biggest threat to Republicans in 2028. Now, I can somewhat understand why. Stephen A. already has one of the most critical aspects taken care of. He has mainstream name recognition. One of the biggest problems with Cam Harris early on last year, besides the fact that she was overly incompetent, one of Cam's biggest problem was no one knew who the hell she was. Even though she's been pretending to be vice president for 3 years, there were a lot of people who had never heard of Cam Harris. But Cam also has an advantage over Stephen A. Smith: experience. But KC, Donald Trump didn't have political experience, and his presidency's been great. No, that's not true. The Trumper had been dealing with politicians damn near his entire life. Stephen A. Smith has been dealing with athletes. He's been dealing with Skip Bayless or Max Kellerman. It took the Trumper 4 years during his first term to get a firm understanding of Washington. And like I said, he has been dealing with politicians and preparing to run for president for decades. But either way, Stephen A. Smith all but confirmed yesterday morning that he was running for president. And it's not because he wants to run. No. Stevie doesn't want to be president. He is simply doing this because he loves his country. And he's also doing this because he's being forced into it. Watch for yourself.
Are you really thinking about running for president? I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, "You don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibility." And that's what I've decided to do.
Do I think Stephen A. Smith has a chance to win the Democratic nomination? Absolutely not. And it's not because I don't think a political outsider can win. One thing Donald Trump has done, he has opened up the presidency for outsiders and shown them it is possible for them to win. I don't think Stephen A. has a chance because I don't think he actually wants to be president. I think he enjoys the attention. He enjoys the notoriety. He enjoys being included in these political circles that he seems desperate to get into. But I don't think he actually wants it. I have been following Stephen A. Smith for a long time. Up until maybe a few months ago, he has never once mentioned his aspirations to be president. With Donald Trump, he'd been talking about it for decades. You can go on YouTube right now and find interviews with Donald Trump from the 80s and 90s where he's flirting with the idea of becoming president. This is not a job that you can pursue half-assed. You have to be 100% committed, and you also have to be willing to open your entire life to public scrutiny. Stephen A. Smith has been in mainstream sports media for decades. How much do you know about his personal life? I didn't know he had two daughters until I read his book. For the most part, Stephen A. Smith has kept his personal life private, which is fine. Fine. I don't blame him. But you don't get the benefit of that luxury when you run for president. But let's just assume for a second that Stephen A. is going to go through with this. Let's assume for a second that Stephen A. enters the primaries and actually runs for president. What the hell's ESPN going to do? Who's going to replace Stephen A. Smith? One of the reasons they gave him $100 million a few weeks ago, they don't have anyone to replace him. If Stephen A. goes through with this, that means his campaign will be starting, early 2027? That means preparations for his campaign will be starting next year, or maybe even later this year. With his lack of experience, he will also need a lot of preparation on the issues. This isn't some talk show where you can throw out a few talking points and look good. You're going to be expected to know something. You're going to be expected to have an actual plan, which means Stephen A. Smith, he'll be spending a lot of time away from ESPN. So, who is his replacement? Well, Casey, what about Shannon Sharpe? Hey, it's me, Shay. I mean, Shay is definitely a star. He has boosted ratings for First Take, but will the chemistry be there with Shay and Chris Russo? Will the chemistry be there between Shay and the dozens of other people on this never-ending panel? Better yet, would Shannon Sharpe even be willing to be on First Take 5 days a week? Well, what about Pat McAfee? Ooh. Pat McAfee is failing miserably on his own show, at least on linear television. He's damn sure not the answer. The truth is, ESPN doesn't have an answer because they don't have a replacement. And they don't have a replacement because ESPN no longer has the ability to create new stars. If Stephen A. leaves ESPN to run for president, they're in trouble, which is why they paid him $100 million not to leave. But give me your thoughts on this. Is this serious? Is Stephen A. Smith actually going to run for president? Or is he just enjoying the attention, the notoriety? If he does run, who is his potential replacement at ESPN? I don't think there is one, but you tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.